Hello everyone. Long time no live code or no stream or whatever you kids call it these days. So I've been meaning to try Cloudflare Workers for a while now because I heard a lot of hype and they sound really cool. So I figured why not try them on stream from scratch, create some time to play around with new technologies, and we'll see where this goes. I'm gonna probably stick around for another couple of hours, so say hi, hang out, do whatever. I'm going to be just narrating what I do. So basically, the goal of today, or what I'm going to try to do, is I have this thing in my newsletter emails where if you click thumbs up, you go to a page that asks you a couple of follow-up questions on why you voted thumbs up or thumbs down, and you can blah 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 over here. And the UX is not the best, but it's good enough for now. And what this thing is doing is it's running a Gatsby page on, I think it's on Netlify. It's been about 2 years since I first built this. So it's running a Gatsby page on Netlify, and it's talking to a GraphQL server that's running on, so let's see, let's go again from scratch so I can show it again. So it's running a GraphQL server on AWS Lambda. So you see it writes something to local storage so you don't get dupes, and if we look at the network, it's making GraphQL requests to an AWS Lambda. What I'm going to try to do today is change the backend and possibly the front end to run on Cloudflare Workers /pages as well. So all I've done so far, I've never looked into Cloudflare Workers, which is why I wanted to stream this. So what I've done so far is basically create a Cloudflare. This is going to get hard to say. So I created a Cloudflare account, and that's pretty much everything I've done so far. I have no idea what I'm doing, and we're going to figure it out together. So let's see. I currently don't have any websites. I don't know what that's for. Let's try. I've heard Cloudflare Workers are like a better version of AWS Lambda. So what we're going to try is go to Workers. And let's see, you may use this subdomain to deploy your application live to Cloudflare's global network. You can change it at any time. Choose your subdomain. Okay, I'm going to choose Swizzets. Cool. So hey Fuzzy Buddy, how have you been? I've been pretty good on my end, by the way. Let's see, so let's create a worker subdomain. Cool. For personal use, up to 10 milliseconds CPU time per request. That seems promising. Lowest latency after first request. Always lowest latency for pay-as-you-go. Okay. KV, global low latency key value edge storage. So I think the idea of the key value edge storage is that you get really fast data store to go with your really fast workers. We can look into that later. So this is basically like a Lambda, but the difference between this and a normal Lambda is that this runs on the edge, which means that it tries to run on a serverless machine as close as possible to the person who's making a request. So let's start with free. Choose your subdomain, set up your free custom Cloudflare Workers domain. Okay. Sure, I'll just go with the default, set that up. Your subdomain will be ready when you deploy. Okay, now what do I do? Okay, so if we go back to workers, we have an overview, we have KV, and we have plans. Cool. Explore resources, get started, CLI quick start. That sounds like what we need. So CLI quick start. Build, preview, and deploy your workers from the Wrangler command CLI. So for anyone who's a fuzzy buddy, the Cloudflare is like a global CDN, content distribution network, and recently-ish, in the last couple of months, they've also enabled edge computing, which means that instead of just having static assets on the edges around the globe, you can also have dynamic workers which execute code. So it's kind of like having an AWS Lambda or a serverless function, except it's running at the edge close to your users. So that's what we're going to try to use today. Let's see, using Wrangler CLI. Okay, let's just go with the default instructions for now. So I am in my SparkJoy project where I've been doing stuff, and we're going to, let's see, we can run npm I at cloudflare/wrangler -g. I have no idea what Wrangler is. Looks like some sort of command that helps you organize or wrangle the workers, I guess. Then we log in, Wrangler login. Allow Wrangler to open a page, yes. So a page opens, that's pretty neat. Okay, yes, allow. Yeah. Okay, great, interesting. Cool. Check out the workers docs. So I'm going to open that and try out more code snippets and examples. That sounds useful. Actually, yes. Fuzzy Buddy, you're right. It is kind of a more improved version of S3 because, well, yeah, it's kind of a more improved version of S3, except S3 is meant to be something that feeds data into your CDN. Whereas I don't know how Cloudflare does that. I think you can use Cloudflare backed by S3 for the source data, but I don't know. It's basically a cache in front of whatever you're doing. Cool. So let's generate an app. Wrangler generate, let's say backend CF workers, because I have a backend folder. Let's see. If I ls, you see I have a backend folder that holds my serverless code, my GraphQL server, and all of that. And then I have the front end, which is the Gatsby page. We're going to go with Wrangler generate a worker from a TypeScript template. Wrangler generate backend CF worker. And I'm just going to copy paste this so I'm not typing it over. Bam. Okay, yes, we can allow access to that. And then I go backend CF worker. I should probably git checkout -b Cloudflare workers. So that creates a new, what's it called? A new Git branch. Git status, let's see what we got. So we got a source, a test, tsconfig, webpack config, Wrangler toml, jest config, JSON. Perfect. So this looks like a pretty good setup at first. And I'm going to say git add dot, git commit so that we have it as a save point. Init Cloudflare worker. So, okay. And then I can run Wrangler dev. Let's see what that happens. That's going to, I guess, install everything. So it's installing everything. Okay. Yes, I can upgrade npm. Not going to do that right now. And it's going to connect to workers.dev. It's listening on blah. So if I go to this URL, I should see what the worker is doing, right? See, request method get. Perfect. That seems useful. What else do the instructions say? And if we publish it, you've installed Wrangler and deployed your project to Cloudflare to support you along your journey developing with Cloudflare with Workers. Here are some resources. Introduction to Cloudflare Workers course. That seems like too easy. So we're just gonna go exploring. I'm gonna open this project. Come on. If we go into random coding, SparkJoy backend CF worker, let's see what we get here. So what is this gonna open anything? There we go. So we have the thing. Let's see, in source, what do we get in source code? Why is this opening so slowly? So index.ts, Okay. I don't know why this needs to listen to the fetch event. Okay, so this, interesting. I have no idea how workers work, by the way, so this is, this is gonna be interesting. So it looks like it's listening for the fetch event and then responding with whatever the handler request does. So that means if we change this to say, hello humans, let's see what we get. So now when I reload this page, okay, so it detected changes, it's rerunning everything. And I should now, when I reload this dev page or localhost dev page running on the worker, I should get something that says hello. Let's see, is anyone talking to me on Twitter? Because I hope this shared on Twitter. I'm not actually sure how this works. Oh, there we go. Twitter connection with Restream finally works again. That's nice. Pa-pa-pam. Okay, so this says hello humans. Cool. Now, what do tests say? Handler.test.cs. So this is basically done with so it can make service workers, and then it has handle get request, and it expects the status to equal request method get. So if I do, let's see, what did we get a test command in, where were we? Build format test. Yes. So if I run yarn test, we should get a failing test here. COVID is kind of strange right now, Fuzzy Buddy. It's the Omicron, or whatever you pronounce that. Yeah, the Omicron variant has been really exploding, but luckily the really bad stuff hasn't been following. So it looks like we have a lot of cases, but other than that, it doesn't seem too bad right now. What's it like where you are? Okay, so I need to update the test to say hello humans. Hello humans. Okay, yarn test. Let's see what happens here. Ow. Ah, the water keeps splashing me. Cool. All right, so we got that working. Now let's see what is the other thing we can try. I'm gonna make this smaller again because it's way too big. Now let's go look at Cloudflare Workers documentation. Starters, examples, or let's look at examples. So return a small HTML page, return JSON, which means, oh, interesting. So we have originless JSON middleware, headers, authentication, web crypto. What is web crypto? Security, cache API, caching, debugging, logging, geolocation, HTML rewriter. Interesting. So I wonder if Cloudflare Workers are a good place to run GraphQL, to run it as a GraphQL server. Probably not. Cloudflare Workers documentation, playground. How Workers works. Learn how Cloudflare's global network powers workers. Pricing. Oh, wow. I thought New Zealand was doing really well with COVID, Fuzzy Buddy. Connect with the workers community, reference HTML rewriter. I'm not sure I want to. That's guide. What does the guide say? Cloudflare Workers service application platform. Yes. Sign up for a workers account. We have that. Configure the workers CLI. Generate a new project. I guess what I'm trying to do here is something that may be kind of weird, but we're gonna try. So let's try workers usage image resizer. That seems useful. API translator, next steps. So how can we, let's see, how can we use this? Let's try, here's what we're gonna try. We're gonna try to store things in the key value storage. Let's see, how do we use the key value storage? So we have workers overview. Oh, here's another thing we can check. Come on. So my computer's being slow again, that's not great. But let's see, can we, so add event listener for fetch, what does the Wrangler toml say? So we have back type JavaScript, zone ID, account ID, workers dev is true, compatibility date. Okay, so this doesn't sound too special. Here's what we're gonna try. We're gonna try adding a key value storage. How do we do this? Let's see, Wrangler -- help. Wrangler key interact with your workers KV namespaces. Individually manage workers KV bulk, interact with multiple workers, route secret, generate a secret that can be referenced in the script. Build your worker, preview, dev, publish to the orange cloud, config. Okay, subdomain, who am I, tail, login, logout. Okay, so we're gonna try to I'm trying to figure out how to, yeah. So I'm trying to think about how we can, essentially how we can write to DynamoDB without ruining the concept of edge workers. The problem is that if we make the edge worker always connect to DynamoDB, which is what I currently use, that's running on AWS, that may be a problem because it's going to ruin the instantaneousness or the speed at which this stuff runs, but it might also be what we actually need. Now, how can we, let's try that. First, we're going to try to use this to just proxy, no, that's dumb. Let's try to store the votes. So if somebody talks to the worker, we're going to try to just immediately store the GraphQL command. So whatever the GraphQL command does, we're going to, no, that sounds dumb. See, I should have planned this a bit more in advance. So here's what we're gonna do. We're going to make, actually, let's try making a CloudFlare page. That might be easier to use at first. So if we go with pages, what can a page do for us? Okay, your account is now verified. To deploy a site, first select blah, select a repository, so we can deploy a GitHub. Oh, cool. We can deploy Gatsby directly. That's interesting. So we can basically move a Gatsby site to Cloudflare. Not sure if I want to do that. Let's see, what do supported frameworks say? You may tell Cloudflare pages, framework presets. So we have a preset for Gatsby. Do we? Where is it? Gatsby build directory public. You may tell Cloudflare pages how your site needs to be built, as well as where its output files will be located. Okay. So that's cool. You can use Cloudflare pages directly with Gatsby, so which probably makes it a lot easier to use than doing it yourself. Interesting. Migration guides. Migrate from Netlify to pages. Okay, let's try that. migrating from worker sites to pages. Okay, let's try netlify to pages. Your build command and build directory. Build and deploy. So that would basically move the existing SparkJoy all over to Cloudflare pages, which would then hopefully make it a little faster. Let's see how what is the, this is going to be a very very unscientific measurement, but let's try. So if we reload this page, we get 18 requests that took, what the hell was I doing here? That takes 6.45 seconds. Let me write that down somewhere. Scratch pad. I haven't used this in a while. Where are you, Scratchpad? There we go. So let's see. Cloudflare pages. Speed comparison. Comparison unscientific. So we're just gonna try this just to see what happens. So an unscientific page comparison on Netlify. First load, sort of, goes 6.45 seconds to finish, and we get 8.91 kilobytes transferred, and we made, wait, let's try this again. Actually, yeah, let's try it again. So we're going to empty cache and hard reload. So it's pending quite a while here. This is probably why I have so many people dropping out at this point, because one of the problems I've been having with the SparkJoy command or with the voting widgets is that ConvertKit will say that I've had like 50 clicks and I only register like 5 of those, which is definitely a problem. So let's see. It took 16 seconds. What? Why does this say 16 seconds? Okay. So let's see. Netlify first load with hard reload. Hard reload, we had 16.63 second delay. Or what is this lag? Latency. And then 4.96 second to finish, and 25 requests. Oh, come on. To finish, and we had 891 KB and we had 25 requests. And I'm going to take a screenshot of this just so I have it for future reference. Yeah. So I don't know if I actually need this for future reference, but it could be potentially for a blog if I write a blog about this. How can I make this better? Okay, I need to make it smaller so that it actually looks better if I use these images directly in the blog. Let's go like this. All right. Save. My camera died. Let me change the battery. I should be back. Am I back? There we go. All right, I'm back. So we have that. Now we're gonna try to just blindly move all of this directly over to Cloudflare pages and see what happens. So I'm gonna go with, let's see, get started, migrating from Netlify. All right. Finding your build command and build directory, we don't need that. Actually, you know what? We can just go here and we are going to connect GitHub. Connect Swizzets. All repositories. Yeah, sure. Install and authorize. Use my password, confirm. Hopefully it asks for two-factor auth. It didn't. That's weird. Okay. So it didn't ask for two-factor auth. Okay. So we now have pages. We're going to select the SparkJoy repository and we're going to begin setup. So project name SparkJoy, production branch is master, framework preset is going to be, come on. Okay. What? Come on, click, Gatsby. Select the framework and root directory is actually frontend, where Cloudflare runs the build command because I have my frontend in a subdirectory of the entire project. That's where that goes. And do we have any environment variables to be used during build time for production and preview? Variables for each environment can be changed separately later. Okay. So I do have during build time. Do I have any? I don't remember how I've configured this. Let's see. ls frontend. ls // frontend. Gatsby config env helper. Let's see if I'm going to expose any secrets here. Ah, there we go. I have it hard-coded in the code itself. All good. Don't need environment variables, although I probably should. So we save and deploy. And let's see what this does. Oh, this isn't actually going to work. We need to configure a different build command because I made changes, I think. Let's see, vim frontend package JSON. Did I change the build command? No, I did not. Okay, so it should just work. We'll see if it does. So this is initializing the build environment. Okay, this might take a while, I guess. We'll see what happens. But then we're still going to have issues with the API section of it because that part's going to be slow. But we can try and see what happens first. Come on. Why is this taking so long? Wow. Okay, right. I think this is also built with a relatively old version of Gatsby, so it might take a while to actually to build, even though it's supposed to be pretty simple. Why is it interesting? So it takes a really long time to even initialize a build environment on their end. That's before it actually clones the Git repository and starts doing all of the things. That's interesting. Now let's see. Is there a package we can use to make a GraphQL server on a Cloudflare worker? Cloudflare worker GraphQL server. Let's see what that does. Building a GraphQL server on the edge with Cloudflare workers. Cool. Cool. So we have the official blog. Then we have quick starts. Okay, let's look at the quick starts. That looks promising. Generate, yes. So how do we TypeScript starter, worker sites, miniflare, Sunder, frameworks, Apollo GraphQL server. Oh, nice. Lightning fast, globally distributed Apollo GraphQL server deployed at the edge using CloudFlare Workers. That sounds promising. Let's give that a shot. So we're going to, what did we change? Looks like it might be better if we start from the, what's this called? From the starter. Yeah, let's start from the starter. So I'm gonna cd and I'm going to rmrf backend with cf worker. And we're going to generate a new app using the GraphQL server starter, which is probably going to be a lot easier to work with. Let's see. So we run this, generate, instead of my app, we're going to generate, we said CloudFlare -cf -backend. And this should give us the basics for a GraphQL server. So git status, we say git add dot, git commit -a-m, use GraphQL server starter instead. Okay, git push origin master, and we're going to, come on. Okay, computer's being slow. Did this deploy yet? Retry deployment. Build command failed. Cool. Why did building the application fail? So we have downloading tarball, yarn, verifying integrity, the good signature from yar. This key has expired. What? That's weird. Let's try. Maybe I do need some different settings. Let's go to Netlify and see what I have there. So if we go to Netlify, come on computer, you can do this. Why are you so slow, mister? CPU. What's using up all of the CPU? Ah, yes, OBS. So if we go to Netlify, do I actually have any git remote -v -a remote git push origin cloud? What? What happened here? Oh, well, that's dumb. Why does... All right, so because we started with a starter, this is weird. So come on. So because we started with a starter, it makes an existing Git repository in our Cloudflare in the new project. So we have to delete that first, which is just weird. So rm-rf Cloudflare CF backend for Git. Wait, what does GitHub say there? ls.github workflows. Okay, nice. That's cool. But what is in .git and why? So we rmrf that, and then we git checkout -b to, what do we say? This is going to be CloudFlare Workers. And then we're going to say git status And now we can git add dot and say git commit -a -m, use GraphQL starter for workers, and git push origin CloudFlare Workers, which should now work. Come on. Is it pushing? Perfect. Now let's see. Why is this deploy? Why is deploying the Gatsby part of the project to Cloudflare pages? Why is that failing? Do I have any environment variables set up? Site settings, status badges, site members, build and deploy. No. Environment. Edit variables. There are no variables. Okay. So then why is this failing? Is this project just so old that I can no longer deploy it anywhere? Let's see. So we're gonna try building it locally just to see what happens. So cd dot. Okay. cd spark joy, cd frontend, ls, and let's run yarn build. And see if it builds locally. And while that's happening, we can go look at, let's look at what the Cloudflare workers, what the GraphQL Cloudflare worker init script or starter, what did it set up? Okay. So looks pretty similar to before, except now we don't have tests, which is fine. And why is it set up as JavaScript instead of as TypeScript? That's annoying. Okay. So we have the KV cache. Wonder what that's doing. Fourth line starting from, oh, hey, Hideo. Fourth line, expected version. Oh, I think you're right. But I don't have that set up anywhere. So I don't know why it's failing. I think some of my packages must just be super outdated. Okay, so schema.js, cool. Pokemon sprites. Okay, so why? What? This is a very complex starter. Let's see. Get started. Come on, where were we? Examples, quick start. Edge rendered, Apollo GraphQL server. So let's see. What does this say? Workers GraphQL server. Globally distributed, blah, blah, blah. Apollo GraphQL server built with CloudFlare Workers. Try a demo. Why this? Rules, yes. Usage, sample Pokemon query, endpoints, origin forwarding, debugging. Okay. Debugging, course, REST caching. Okay. So we'll see what this does when we run. Let's see. Oh, hi, Luke. To my pages project setting and add a node version environment variable, both for. Okay, so why didn't it do that automatically when I set up a new project? So let's see, if I go to pages, this one, and then we say settings, environment variables, node version. Let's try 16. And we're gonna set it up here as well. Okay. Node version value 16. Why is this taking so long to save? That's interesting. Okay. Wow. Cool. So it doesn't build locally. I wonder why. We can deal with that later. So I got this. Now let's try again. 2 minutes ago. Wait, how do I get back to my builds? Pages, view build, manage deployment, build log, manage deployment, retry. All right, that seems like a good place to start. Cool. Okay, cool. That's good to know, Luke. All right, so we have this Apollo GraphQL starter, which seems to do a lot. Enable course headers on GraphQL requests set to true for defaults. Enable KV caching for external REST data source requests. You need to add a KV namespace. So we are disabling this for now because I'm not sure what it does. And then let's see, we got a bunch of code here. So we handle a request. If it's a GraphQL request, I think we do normal GraphQL request. Okay, so if it's a playground endpoint, we go to the playground. Otherwise, if it's a GraphQL thing, okay. Interesting. Cool. So we'll see if this deployment starts. Here, let's go to package.json. Come on, package.json, and we're gonna try, is there a dev? Wrangler, no. So what was the Wrangler command again? Wrangler help, Wrangler dev. So we're gonna try Wrangler dev, wrangler.toml not found, because I am in the wrong folder. So ls Wrangler dev. Let's see what we get. Okay, come on. So this is now installing everything for the Apollo GraphQL starter, and it should start locally, and then we can see what it's doing. I think that's how it works. Open collective, nice. Installing Wrangler.js. Oh, I feel like I need more energy drinks. Let's get some more caffeine. Yeah, so Luke, to catch you up on what we're doing, or anyone else who just joined, god damn it, I really need to set up my Stream Deck. So to catch you up, I'm trying to update basically revamp a couple of things on an old project from maybe 2 years ago. So we're trying to do two parts. One is move the AWS Lambda stuff I built to Cloudflare Workers because that sounds cool. And the stuff I built on Lambda is a GraphQL server that talks to DynamoDB to save data from a Gatsby page. And the Gatsby page itself is running on Netlify. So I'm trying to do two parts here. I'm trying to move the Gatsby page to Cloudflare pages. Hopefully that part is easy and effortless so I can see the difference in response times. And then I'm gonna try to update move the Lambda stuff to Cloudflare. And I started with the GraphQL starter, but I am so far I'm a little overwhelmed with everything that the Apollo GraphQL server starter is doing. And also it's really uncool that it's not TypeScript. I would have liked TypeScript, but we're gonna try to make this work. And right now I'm just trying to see if the starter itself starts and works. Otherwise, we're going to use it as a otherwise we're going to start with an empty worker and make a new, basically go from scratch. We'll see what happens. By the way, Luke, have you ever tried to talk to DynamoDB from Cloudflare Workers? Do you have any words of advice there other than it sounds like a stupid idea? And the reason it sounds like a stupid idea to me is that it seems like talking to a central database from an edge network is kind of not ideal. All right, so Gatsby still fails to build. This time, aha, same error as on localhost. So I think the problem there is, what is the problem there? What are my static pages trying to do? Oh, sweet. Luke has an example of Cloudflare Workers talking to Dynamo because he is amazing. By the way, you're now officially a DevRel for Cloudflare, if I remember correctly. Okay, so why did this fail? Why does my Gatsby page? Sweet. How are you enjoying DevRel life? Is it basically just a way to fund your open source projects? Come on. Wow. Okay, my computer really doesn't like the streaming, but I think at least my camera isn't lagging these days because I'm finally using a proper webcam setup. Let's see. I'm gonna open the front-end project and see what the hell it's doing and why might it be failing to build. So I think the reason it's failing to build is because it's not getting some data from the front end. There's a bunch of stuff there that's kind of suboptimal because 2 years ago, a lot has changed since then in this space. So it's failing to build the building static HTML failed for path vote on full screen form JS. Full screen form JS. If we go to 103, render field index, follow-up questions. Nice. All right, sounds like a sweet gig. Look, let's see. Okay, so it's failing to get the field index from follow-up questions. Why is that? Console log, wow, follow-up questions. Okay, so I have forgotten how annoying my computer gets when I'm streaming. It's not great. Why is there a comma expected here? I think you're tripping. Okay, let's see what we get. So I have a feeling that there are some values in my database that are suboptimal. Yarn build. And so one thing I tried to do with this project is make it configurable which follow-up questions you ask to a thumbs up or thumbs down vote. This has turned out to be completely useless, but I built it anyway. So I think what's happening now is that there are widgets in the database that don't have any follow-up questions, and the code is incorrectly dealing with that when generating static pages for each type of thing that you can vote on. This is, I could explain why it's that way, but it's really stupid the way it is, and this would be a much better fit for something like Next.js. Yep, have fun, Luke. Yeah, so this is where with Next.js you would use or even with Gatsby v4, you would use server-side generation instead of static generation. Or honestly, I can't keep track of the acronyms. So whichever one it is where you create the page when it's first requested rather than in advance when you're deploying, that's the one that would be a better fit for what I'm doing right now. But back when I first built this, that didn't exist yet, at least not in Gatsby, so that's why the project isn't using it. Okay, so we're gonna at least now get some debug output. Okay. Oh, sweet. So our worker managed to run, which means we should get an Apollo playground on 000. Not secure. Operation must contain a non-empty query or a persisted query extension. Qua. This was supposed to show us the playground. So let's go back to index.js here and see. Oh, okay. So I have to go to the actual playground endpoint. That makes sense. Ooh, okay. So loading GraphQL playground. We can look at the docs and we're gonna see the Pokemons. Let's see if there are any Pokemons here. Query Pokemon. Oh, is there? No, there's nothing. There's no way to query all Pokemons. Alright, cool. So what can we do now? Let's see, did this build? No, but did we get? So we got a console log. Console log, have burning questions. Yes. Okay. Is there anywhere that this is not an array? No. Right? At least I don't think so. Let's see. What can we fix here? So follow-up questions. Render field with the follow-up questions of field index. And we have the current state at 0. And it's saying that cannot read property undefined. Not read property 0 of undefined. Okay. So we're gonna say if there are no follow-up questions, we're going to return let's just say thanks. Okay. So now if I unbuild this, it should work. And now while that's building, we can go, what can we do? We can try to connect our, I really don't like that this is, I really don't like that this is using JavaScript instead of TypeScript. But fuck it. Let's see. So we're gonna try to copy over the schema, the GraphQL schema that I was using in the original project, just so that we can have it. So if we go github.com, that's eventually gonna load, and we go to calendars. What's it called? SparkJoy. We go to backend. Oh, I can zoom that in a little bit. How long have we been streaming? We are at, it's almost been an hour. Frames missed due to rendering lag, 10%, that's not great. Okay, so we go to source. Let's see, is anyone talking on Twitter? Awesome. So Luke shared on Twitter DMs how he connects Cloudflare Workers to DynamoDB. We're going to look at that later. First, we're going to go update our schema. So I think this is set up to have a schema.js? Yes. So it has a schema.js. We're going to, let's see. So type, okay, so that's the types, queries, GraphQL TS. Let's see, GraphQL TS type definitions. So we're gonna copy the type definitions, and then we're gonna see where so copy this. We now have all of the things we need. We have the queries, and we have the voting, and we have the feedback and the widgets and all of that stuff. Perfect. And we have all of the mutations as well. So now we're gonna need to get the code for all of this stuff. So resolvers.js, this is where we have the query resolvers and the mutation resolvers. So we're gonna go with the same pattern we used before, which is to have the queries and mutations in separate directories or in separate files. ls worker, no, ls source, data sources handlers, ls source handlers, resolvers. Where are the resolvers? Oh, resolvers.js. Cool. So we have the resolvers. How is this thing using them? Come on, computer. All right. So index.js, where did the resolvers go? No. Apollo require handlers. Apollo require handlers. Why is this written in such old JavaScript? Weird. Set course, playground. Okay. Handle request. You know, I am handlers Apollo. What if we actually rewrite this with JavaScript? Or maybe not. This just seems okay. So we have data sources and we have resolvers. GraphQL options. How is it using data sources? It's very interesting digging through somebody else's code. So we create a server, we put in the type definitions, the resolvers, and data sources. So how does data sources work? This is the Pokemon API, and it's just a REST data source, Apollo data source REST. Oh, interesting. Okay. So we're not gonna need that. Let's see if there's an Apollo data source DynamoDB. Does that exist? No. So wait, how do these resolvers work then? This is some new kind of GraphQL magic. I'm not used to this. Okay, so you have a query that then just says data sources, talk to the Pokemon API, return the Pokemon based on the ID. That works. Okay. And then if we look at my original resolvers, they're written in a more what I would call pedestrian style. So we basically have it directly here when we are connecting DynamoDB and filters and stuff. And then we have scanning items and stuff like that. Let's see if there's a what should we see? Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, we are going to, instead of data sources, we're going to wait. And then how does this work with data sources? Is the Pokemon API, and then I'm not sure what the cache thing does. Actually, there might be a Apollo. Let's see. So we have the Poke API. Let's see if there's an Apollo data source for DynamoDB. Apollo data source DynamoDB. Because that might make it, oh, of course that exists. That's cool. Apollo data source DynamoDB. And that's going to make it hopefully easier to connect things together. Let's see, did this, okay, so that's the Wrangler. Oh, cool. So CloudFlare Workers built now, or rather status. We're going to go back to the front end repository, cd dot dot, and we're going to go to front end, get status, get add source. Oh wait, get checkout master, blah blah blah. Get stash dot dot slash Cloudflare. I wonder if that works. Can I actually partially stash things? Nope. So we're gonna get add dot dot slash Cloudflare workers. Get status. Get add dot dot slash Cloudflare workers or Cloudflare backend. Get commit minus mn. Port GraphQL schema over. Okay, and then we go get check. We have that, and we can now get checkout master, get commit minus a minus m, fix Gatsby build. Hopefully that fixes it. And then we can get status, cool, get push origin master. And now ideally, I think what Cloudflare was able to do for us is that Gatsby should now build automatically on Cloudflare workers. If it doesn't, we're going to trigger it manually. So we go here back to my Cloudflare pages, Spark Joy, and perfect. So it's now building, and we're going to see if it works. Cool. And now we can go back to the workers page, the checkout minus. So we now have Cloudflare workers, and we're going to try to add DynamoDB as a data source and then hook up resolvers to make this thing work correctly in theory. So let's see. Oh my god, Bird. Apollo.js, where were we? So we need to create a new data source. We're going to delete the existing data source and say rm ls. Oh, wait, we're still in front end, so we need to go back to, wait, get status ls. So we're going to rm source. We have data sources, Poke API JS, and we're going to create a new one for DynamoDB. And I'm going to go to the official Apollo DynamoDB data source to see how to actually do that. View the Apollo server documentation, yarn add. Okay, so let's see, yarn add Apollo data source DynamoDB. This may not actually work very well, but we'll see. That's what this is all about. Experimenting and playing around. Okay, so deployment. The deploy building on Cloudflare pages is looking promising. What time is it? Oh, it's not too late. I'm gonna go for a while more. We'll see how far we get. So let's see. To define a data source, extend the DynamoDB data source class and pass in the name of the table, the key schema, and the client configuration that allows the lib to connect to the DynamoDB document client to interact with data in the table. Creating an instance of this class then allows you to utilize the API methods. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. Mm. Hmm. Okay. Okay, okay. So we're gonna create a ls source data sources. We're gonna touch source data sources, and we're gonna call this DynamoDB Poke API. So we had Poke API before. Now we can call it DynamoDB.js. Yeah, let's do DynamoDB.js. And we're going to import DynamoDB, require DynamoDB. And then here we say DynamoDB is a new DynamoDB data source, right? Then we have to go into the DynamoDB thing. Come on, DynamoDB, and we say import import DynamoDB data source from Polo data source DynamoDB, right? So we imported that thing. And then we say class, what did we say this was going to be called? DynamoDB. Okay. DynamoDB extends DynamoDB data source, which is okay. And then we export default or something. Yes, export export DynamoDB. Oh, and we need to update how we're importing this so that it's a proper import. Here in Apollo.js, we're gonna say import DynamoDB from / data sources DynamoDB. Okay, I don't know why this starter has such a complex setup, but I'm hoping it helps. Okay, so we've got that. Now, ooh. Oh, very nice. Okay, my site was deployed. Perfect. Oh, it looks like it looks for Cloudflare Workers. Cloudflare Pages looks at the /functions directory. That is very promising. So now this is my URL. So we're gonna go here and we're gonna, let's see, what's the best way to do this? So we're gonna make a new request and we're gonna see. So this should be talking to the same, come on, open. Why isn't it opening the DevTools? Oh, there we go. DevTools showed up. Okay, so we go there and we copy the rest of the URL. And ideally, this is going to just work. It's still talking to the same AWS Lambda as it was before. So it's the same API backing it for the data, but we might see better performance for the actual cold load and that sort of thing. So, and also we're gonna see if it actually works. Bam. Okay. Oh, that looks faster. Okay. Wow. That was a lot faster. I don't know why it made more requests, but let's go back to our Scratchpad. Come on, Scratchpad, open. Go back down. Go down. Okay. So Cloudflare pages. There was a... so if we compare this, come on. We had, instead of 16 seconds of latency, we had 560 milliseconds of latency. So we have 560 ms of latency. And then we had 7.7 seconds to finish. Okay, I think something's wrong with this test. And it transferred 917 kilobytes and made 30 requests. All right, so now, and it still made the same GraphQL requests and everything. So what we're gonna do next is go into incognito mode so that we can test this more properly. Let's see, come on. Okay, so the reason I'm trying it in incognito is so that we don't get, what's it called? It's so that we don't get extensions messing with things. So we're gonna try the SparkJoy on Netlify, and we go to network, not incognito. Wow, my computer is so slow right now. With incognito, we have Netlify. So we copy the Netlify request here. Bam. Okay, so that was still pretty fast. There we go. Wow. So we have 32, okay, so 328 milliseconds latency, and we have 397 kilobytes and 24 requests, and come on, and 5.06 seconds to finish. I don't know why it's doing all of that, or like, what the hell is hello.js, and why is that being loaded here? Or what? Oh, okay, so it's loading Facebook. That's dumb. I don't need that. Then on Cloudflare pages, we are going to, so that was pretty easy. Bam, come on. Okay. Now let's see. Bam. What does the network say? We had, I think it has a very similar latency. 475 ms latency, and then 414 kilobytes transferred. 414 kilobytes, 27 requests, and 3.72 s to finish. That's interesting. So the total finish time is faster. Cool. And it's also very cute. Oh, it's very curious that it uses so much of whatever I was saying. Yeah, it's curious that it makes 3 more requests on Cloudflare than it does on not Cloudflare, even though it's the same thing. And also I clearly need to remove the Facebook stuff from this project because I'm not using it. Nobody's using it. Okay, so we have that part. Now, next what we can do is get back to this Apollo stuff and figure out how to move the GraphQL server to Cloudflare Workers. We'll just do. Okay. All right. So let's see, how do we make this work? So So we have DynamoDB, we're adding it as a data source. And then when we go to resolvers, come on, resolvers, go there. So for the resolvers, we need to look at our schema. Our schema says that we have query resolvers for widget and all widget. So we need to make it like this. So we're gonna say widget. The widget resolver gets a user ID and a widget ID. So we say user ID, widget ID. And then we have data sources. So we go to data sources, DynamoDB, because we named it DynamoDB over here. Yep, DynamoDB. And we call, what do we call? Aha. So we're going to make an async function that gets a widget. So we're going to say async function get widget that takes a user ID and a widget ID. Okay. And then we go to DynamoDB.js where we are creating a, oh, I should probably also zoom this in a bit. Oh. Ah. Okay. So that's a problem. So it looks like the data sources thing for DynamoDB, or at least the Apollo data source DynamoDB, is designed to have only to only talk to one table, and the way I've built it, it needs to talk to two tables, which in retrospect is the wrong way to use DynamoDB. And I don't want to change that right now. So what are we going to do? I know what we're going to do. We're going to look at what the original code is doing, and we're going to create two data sources. So if we go to the original code, so let's see. To get the widget, we have get widget, and then we have, oh, the key is, what does get item do? What did I do here? So get item goes to the widgets table and then runs a query. No, it's fine. It's fine. So we're going to say the widgets table is, oh, come on, follow. Come on. All right. So private read only table name equals we don't have, we're not in TypeScript. So the table name is whatever we named it in our here. So I'm going to hard code this stuff again because it was set up as environment variables. Okay, so the problem now is how do we get environment variables on Cloudflare Workers instead of here? So the table name is, okay. Because the way I have it set up is that serverless framework is defining the names of our DynamoDB tables. And now here I need to kind of almost hard code it. So I'm going to try to use, now this is getting complicated. It's getting very complicated, but it's cool so far. Let's see. Okay, let's go with Cloudflare work. We're gonna Google for Cloudflare worker environment variable. Maybe, surely there's a guide for that. Of course there is. Environment variables via Wrangler. So if we go to Wrangler TOML, we can then say name is my worker dev, type is Webpack, not JavaScript. Okay. Count ID, we don't have that set up. Workers dev is true. Okay. Vars. So then under vars, we can go with so we're gonna say widgets table is what's it called? So here we have it named as, so it's Spark Joy minus widgets 2 minus the stage. So then for stage, top level environment variables, env.production. Okay, so if we say env.dev, this thing is called dev, and then we have a users table as well, right? Oh, feedbacks table. Feedbacks table is called Spark. Come on, Spark Joy votes minus votes minus dev. And then how do we define it for prod? We can do env.dev.vars. Environment variables via Wrangler. Adding secrets via Wrangler. Okay. We don't need, these aren't secrets. So we can say dev.vars and then env.production.vars are going to be called just prod. Must match naming in serverless.yaml. So in backend serverless YAML. So this is kind of a pain point of using different cloud providers for different things, which is probably why it's kind of why the whole trying to do this with Cloudflare Workers is kind of dumb, but that's why I'm trying it. I'm basically trying to see if it's going to be any faster. So we have that, and then how do we actually use the secrets? Okay, yes, so with module workers, documentation. So we've created the thing, but how do I actually, oh, I can just go process.env, duh. So we can go back to how are we doing this here? Source, mutations, queries. We're gonna start with queries. Queries, or DynamoDB TS. Come on. The table name is process env widgets table. All right. So we're gonna say widgets table, and then we're gonna have let's rename this file to rename. Come on, reveal, rename. How do I rename a file in VS Code? I always forget that, so I'm just gonna move it manually. Move source data sources DynamoDB to source data sources widgets table.js, and we're gonna start with that. So we go to the widgets table, come on, widgets table.pam, and we export widgets table. And then in Apollo.js, we're going to import the widgets table. Widgets table from data sources widgets table. And here we say widgets table is a new widgets table. This feels very, what would you say? Very silly to be typing all of this manually, but whatever. Okay, so go to widgets table.js, and then here we're gonna say process.env.widgets. Come on, widgets table. That's the name that we defined in wrangler.toml, right? Widgets table. So now let's go back to what is the query doing. So we have a query for widgets, and then we go into widgets table. We have to compare this thing. So we have the table name, then we have the table key schema, which is going to equal, this is the same key schema that we have defined in serverless YAML again. Again, another issue of having this split into two different cloud providers. Serverless YAML. Let's see. The key for is attribute name. So we have, is it attribute name? Come on. Yes. So attribute name, user ID, and then we have, come on, attribute type S. Attribute type is S. And then we have another one, which is, so we have two keys for the key schema. We have attribute type, attribute name, come on, attribute name, widget ID, attribute, yeah, come on, attribute type, which is S. I'm not sure why I defined it this way, but that's how it is. Come on, computer, be faster. Okay, so we have the table key schema defined for our DynamoDB data source. Okay, and then we say TTL equals 30 times 60. I don't know why. 30 minutes. Okay, and then we have a constructor that either gets a config and says super with this dot table name, this dot table key schema, and with the extra configuration. And then we're gonna create a get widget function, which is going to actually talk to DynamoDB and get and get the thing. So we have async get widget, which gets on a user ID and a widget ID, and then returns this dot get item with table name, this dot table name, consistent read true. I don't know what that does. Key of user ID and widget ID, and then that's the config for that, and we give it a time to live. Cool. So we have that. Now back in our resolvers.js, we can say data sources dot widgets table get widget user ID widget ID. Right? that seems like it makes sense. And I'm going to go to, okay. So another thing we're gonna do is add an all widget query, because that's also defined in our schema. So if we go to the schema, we have feedback, no query, all widget query that just gets a user ID. So it's getting all of the widgets for a specific user. We're gonna try that and try to implement both of those, and then disable the mutations, because I think that the Apollo GraphQL server doesn't start unless you define everything that is, unless you have all of the resolvers as the schema defines. So we go to here, we have all widget, we have async, which gets source, and it gets a user ID, and it gets data sources from the server. And then we return data sources dot widgets table dot get all widgets for a user ID. Okay, so then we go to the widgets table. No, okay. We go to the widgets table and we define a, what did we call it? Get all widgets. Async get all widgets from a user ID, and we're gonna copy the same same scan thing as here. So we return this dot scan with table name, this dot table name, consistent read. I still don't know what this does. We should look it up. And then this dot ttl, right? Oh, consistent read. What else do we need? What did we do in the... Okay, so hello, Russian person. I'm sorry I can't read Cyrillic, and I'm not sure what you just posted in the chat room, but cool. So how did we scan this here? I need to look it up. So all widget, we get the filter expression. So I'm gonna copy this. We're gonna make a filter expression that says hash user equals colon user ID. And then we have expression attribute names, which need to map the hash user to user ID. I'm not sure why DynamoDB has such a verbose query thing, but it does. So then we map user ID to the user ID that we got as the param. Cool. So this should now work. Oh, we need to disable the mutations in the schema. The part I don't understand is how is this actually going to connect to... Can I comment this out? Actually, let's do this. So we're going to copy this over here, comment it out. Okay. So I'm now going to run Wrangler dev, and it's almost definitely going to fail. And the reason I think it's going to fail is because I have no idea how this Apollo data source DynamoDB seems to work pretty well. Or, okay, here. So we create Apollo server. I don't know how we tell it where or how to connect to our DynamoDB, or like to the DynamoDB that's hosted somewhere in AWS. That part seems weird. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But ideally, or rather not ideally, but I think it should fail because we're never telling it how to actually connect. Then again, I forget how we did that in, what was I gonna say? Yeah, there we go. Process env, unexpected token. You may need an appropriate loader to handle this type of file. Great, 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 great. What? So I think that the webpack config in this do not convert to ES6. Wrangler.js can't handle it. How old is this starter? How old is the starter? Okay, actually, you know what? We're just gonna convert it to not using imports. So we're gonna have this, and we're going to, come on, go up. We're going to say, how did the Poke API do it? Okay, so we're just gonna use old school requires for now. Cons dynamo blah 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 equals require, like that, and then it says module.exports equals this thing, module.exports equals widgets table. Then we go to Apollo.js, and here we say const widgets table equals require dot slash data sources widgets table, and we kill that part, and that should work. Let's try that again. Wrangler dev. Let's see if it builds this time. And I'll be right back. I just need some more water. I actually don't know how to mute this. Okay. No. All right. Unexpected token on line 4. That didn't work. Table line 4 process.env. Why? CloudFlare Worker process.env. Okay, yes, but how do I actually use them? CloudFlare dashboard, add binding, yes, yes, yes. How do I... My question is, how do I actually use these in the code? Go makethings.com. That sounds familiar. Oh, okay. This environment in your worker the same way you would typical JavaScript variable. So instead of process.env, we just call it a global. So just like that. Okay. Wrangler dev. Okay. So. Come on. Okay, so this is building now. Hi. What's up, Kiwi? Why are you gonna put him away? Oh, battery dead. No, it's not working now. What? Do classes not work? How did the Poke API do this? Oh, god damn it. Okay, so we go back and then we're going to translate this to go in the constructor. Now I think this is a problem with what's it called? With the starter, not with Cloudflare workers themselves. Let's try that again. And let's go here. How old is this starter? 3 months? That shouldn't be that old. Okay. Source. Signal nerve. I know that guy. 2 years ago, resolvers. Yeah, okay. So some of this is very old. Yep. The handler was updated, but the code itself is pretty old. So we can probably do better, but we're not going to do that now. We're going to just try to get it working first. Pa-pa-pam. What are some issues on this worker? TypeScript support. Yeah. So we don't have TypeScript support in the worker or in the starter. Wrangler dev is slowly building this. Let's see. Come on. Okay, I'm gonna look at the what Luke shared because I think that'll help me actually connect to DynamoDB rather than just saying, hey, go to this table and not specifying how. Because I think there's going to be a bit more involved than just what we've done so far. Okay, so the worker built. That's nice. Come on. Come on. Open messages. Okay. So Luke, what did you send me? Wow. There we go. Workers AWS template. Come on, click. There we go. Huzzah. Okay. Now, if I go to my worker, come on, worker GraphQL, we should now get the new schema and potentially also be able to grab a list of widgets for a user. Okay, received status code 500, great. Server cannot be reached. Why can the server not be reached? What do the docs say? What is going on? So if this loaded and there's no errors in here, it just says internal server error. Why doesn't it tell me what the error is? What can we do? How can we response? Yes, response just got 500. So come on, widgets table, widgets table, widgets table. That seems fine. Data sources, resolvers. So if we go to the resolvers, come on, jump to resolvers. We have the widget resolver and we have the all widget resolver. Let's make this just return plain objects for now. Okay. Is it going to restart on its own or do we have to restart it ourselves? Come on, detect the changes. No? Doesn't want to detect changes. Hi, come on, Wrangler Dev. You can do this. It's really frustrating that we don't get anything more than just response status code 500. But let's see, what is Luke's project doing? So it has client DynamoDB, client RDS data, my credential provider, access key, Wrangler secrets to provide global variables, handle request, SQS example, Dynamo example. Aha. Credential default provider. I see. So we're gonna have to deal with the credentials. Okay, but can we at least get this running? Response not successful. Okay, what if we don't provide any data sources then? Let's try that, because I'm trying to figure out where the error is, and it's possible that it's erroring out when it tries to connect to the table. So now we're not going to include the table at all as a source. And then, okay, so we have the credentials provider. And here, how do we give the Apollo data source DynamoDB? How do we give it credentials? Come on, Command F, credentials, no. Export to DynamoDB, blah, blah, blah. Example, test hash, blah. Attribute name, config. I wonder, client configuration. Where does that come from? Clients DynamoDB. So I think client DynamoDB client, where we instantiate that. So where is Luke instantiating the DynamoDB client? New DynamoDB client with the region, which means if we go into the code of the DynamoDB provider, source DynamoDB data source, there should be a new DynamoDB client in here somewhere. Mvoca, I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry. The 000 and localhost are kind of the same thing. I don't know how to tell Wrangler which one to use, but it's probably in TOML. Let's see. Wrangler TOML 0. Yeah. So you can set the dev IP here to say localhost instead of 0.0.0, and then that's what you're gonna get. So let's see. Config document client. Config. Cool. So the configuration is where we can pass in secret keys to actually connect to the database. So if we go here where we're doing Apollo.js, when we're instantiating the widgets table, that's where we're going to set up the configuration. Now let's see if, without creating that, if the server now runs. That's going to tell us no. Okay, now it did run. So if we go to the docs, see we now get the widget and all widget queries. Now how do I get the credentials? So now we're going to instantiate the widgets table, and we're going to pass in the same credentials as here. So we need region is going to be process.env.aws region, and we're going to go into Wrangler TOML to configure that. So here we have, come on, env dev vars. So if we put it just in env, we say AWS region is US East 1 because I'm using the default. And then we need AWS Dynamo primary key. So credential default provider, my credential provider, where is that? Where is the credential provider? Aha. Why is this a function? Interesting. I'm not sure why that's a function, but we should be able to go to Apollo.js and run and add access, wait, my credential provider, credential default provider, and in DynamoDB client, credential default provider. So we can say credential default provider, which is going to be just a function that returns access key ID and secret access key. But then I don't know where to get those. So we're going to return access key ID process.env.aws access key ID and secret access key process.env.aws secret access key. Kevin. And then we're gonna say Wrangler secrets created with Wrangler secrets. Okay, so now we gotta actually create these. Now, how do I get them? So I know that Wrangler secrets are here. Secret, adding secrets via Wrangler. We can say Wrangler secret put name and Wrangler secret put, yeah. You may assign environment specific secrets by rerunning the command secret put name with the environment. Keep a list of the secrets used in your code in your, like the example under secrets. Okay, so we're gonna go into Wrangler TOML and we have env and then we have secrets. We're gonna have this one and secret access key ID. So we have the two secrets configured now. I just need to find their values and actually define them. Which means if I go to, I'm gonna have to go to AWS and we're gonna say Wrangler secret put access key ID, and then under in my account management console, I think I'm gonna have to create a new user. How long have you been streaming? Okay, we're at almost 2 hours. This is getting long. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to probably create a new user for this, but I'm just gonna Google it first to see what exactly this is. How do I get access key ID for Amazon? This is probably going to tell me to create a new user, which is a good idea. Sign up, create a new account, account overview, submenu, security credentials. So what we're gonna do, security credentials. I hope this doesn't just show them because I'm still streaming. Okay. Password, access keys, access key ID. Perfect. Make programmatic calls to, if you lose or forget your secret key, you cannot retrieve it. Okay. So we're going to create a new IAM user based on what this says. So this is saying that if you need something, if you're, because root access gives access to everything, we're going to create a new user. So we go to users. Come on. So we're going to create a new CloudFlare user when this manages to load. See, we have blah. So we're going to add users. Come on. Username is going to be CloudFlare. And they're going to use an access key. Next, permissions. No. Attach existing policies, set permissions boundary, attach existing policies directly. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna look for DynamoDB, Amazon DynamoDB, read-only access, execution role, Lambda invocation DynamoDB. What does this get? Provides access to DynamoDB streams, DynamoDB read-only access, gets Amazon DynamoDB full access. What does this get? Gets CloudWatch, data pipeline, DynamoDB full access, limited list. Okay, I'm just gonna go add user to group, and we're gonna create a new group for, come on, work faster, computer. Group name, DynamoDB. And then we're going to search for DynamoDB, and we're gonna give this user can we create a policy then? Oh, why is this so complicated? I hate the IAM roles permissions. They're just way too complicated. Or rather, there's way too many of them. Choose a service. DynamoDB. So we chose a DynamoDB service. We can have access. Let's give them access to all DynamoDB actions. What? Okay. Come on, close this. Okay. List, read, okay. What is this? Okay, list backups, list contributor insights, whatever. Read. Okay, will this let me go? Nope, the policy contains an error. Let's just give it access to all of the resources. Okay, that's fine. Don't need a tag. So review of policy, full DynamoDB access, create a policy, and let's see if this will remember where we were before. Okay, so the policy has been created. Now let's go back to our users. So we are creating a user. We're going to attach existing policies directly, and we have the Amazon DynamoDB full access. Next, in tags, we don't need any tags, and we create the user. Right? Yes. So it's a programmatic access with an access key. Cool. And now I'm going to hide my screen while I set up these secrets in Wrangler. So I'm copying the access key ID and I'm doing Wrangler secret put AWS secret access key equals value. Oh my God. Oh, okay. So I have a bug in. No. Okay. So let's try that again. So Wrangler secret put AWS secrets key. Expected struct environment. What? Okay, so how is I am not, let me bring this up. So let's go back to Luke's example. How is the AWS region configured in his worker? In the Wrangler TOML, AWS region equals US East 1. What? Oh, in vars, not in env. Duh. Okay, that was dumb. So, okay, now I'm going to create the secrets. I'm going to hide my screen again. AWS secret access key. And we set up the secret, copy it from the Amazon dashboard. Bam. Okay. And then we create the other secret, which is, where is it? Solver widgets table. No. We're in Apollo.js, AWS secret access key. Oh. Now let's AWS access key ID is the value from before. So I got it wrong at first. Come on, computer, why are you so fucking slow? Let's see, where was I? Copy the access key ID. Dim. And then we create the actual secret. Show, copy, paste. Clear my screen so you can't see my secrets anymore. And now, all right. So now now this should work. Let's try worker dev and we'll see if it runs. Oh, no, it's Wrangler dev. Does Wrangler dev now run? So we now should have everything configured that the system needs to actually talk to my DynamoDB database and run code, or like run queries. We'll see if that's actually true. Come on, run faster, computer. Come on. Come on, computer. It's so my computer is so slow right now because it's been streaming for a while, and when it's compressing my entire screen to the stream, it just keeps getting slower the longer I keep it running. I don't know why it keeps getting slower, but it's something that it does. Okay, so it looks like we may have successfully done this. So now I'm gonna rerun the GraphQL playground, and we should be able to get a response not successful, received status code 500. Great. Why? Why? Do we get a schema at least? No. We get nothing. So I think the credential default provider doesn't work with... So what is the client configuration? DynamoDB document client. What is the client configuration type in AWS SDK clients DynamoDB? Because I think that this is using an older... So if you look, this comes from AWS SDK clients DynamoDB, whereas Luke was using the newer at AWS SDK client DynamoDB, which is SDK v3, and the other one is SDK v2. So we need to go look at what is the... so no, the DynamoDB tables are actually created. I can show you. If we go to DynamoDB, you'll see that the tables are there. The problem is somewhere else. So I think we're misconfiguring the client so it can't actually connect. Come on, click. AWS Management Console. DynamoDB. Come on, DynamoDB. Manage NoSQL database. Yes, yes. So if we go here, tables, wow, why is everything so slow? We can look at SparkJoy widgets to dev. So it definitely exists. The table is there. What I don't know is if process.env works and if the way we're configuring the client works. So what we're gonna try next is Google for AWS SDK clients DynamoDB. Go look at the code base and see. Or rather, let's go back to Apollo data source DynamoDB, because this is from 2020, so it's probably using an old version. If we look at package JSON, it's using the AWS SDK version 2. So let's go look at how do we configure version 2. DynamoDB, why are you like this? Okay, DynamoDB client. Can I look for how can I look at old version AWS SDK for JavaScript v2 documentation? I do not want the latest v3. JavaScript API reference, perfect. So now we need to look for DynamoDB client. DynamoDB client. Oh my God, I don't want the example. Just show me the definition for the client. There we go. Okay, so DynamoDB client. What is the configuration? The options. Options are params, services, service. Credential. Wow. Credential default provider, no. Oh, for fuck's sake, just show me what is the map of params. There we go. Credentials. The AWS credentials to sign requests with. You can either specify this object or specify the access key ID. There we go. So we can define those options directly. Perfect. So that should improve things a little bit. Okay. So those are, we now are actually passing in the credentials. The next thing we gotta check is, let's console log I'm just gonna console log this one because it's a little bit less secret. So let's see that the way I'm accessing the credentials, or actually the way I'm accessing the environment variables actually works. Let's just restart this. Come on. Come on, Wrangler Dev, you can do it. Let's see, how much CPU is OBS eating? 300%, okay, not bad. And node another 200 and a bit percent. Nice. Come on, computer. You can do this. I just want to get something working so that it works, and then we can stop these shenanigans. Because I feel like I'm starting to lose my voice. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and my screen is starting to turn yellow because it's getting late. Please work. Aha. Process.env is undefined. Now, what if we don't use process.env? I think that's why it's not working. Detected changes. So we should now get a console log down here. Instead of undefined, it should show the access key ID. Da, 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 da. Okay. Come on. Come on, computer. You got this. It detected the change at least. Now let's see what it spits out. Come on. You would think this would work faster, huh? And this is not a slow computer. Well, I guess it would be nice if OBS worked with hardware acceleration on macOS, but it doesn't. Wow, it detected changes again. I didn't make new changes. Okay. So average time to render a frame, 4.5 milliseconds. This memory usage, okay. CPU, yeah, it thinks it's using 14% of CPU. It's not. OBS does, I mean. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna guess that that's the problem. So I'm just gonna go change it everywhere. And where else did we have it? Git grep process.env. Come on, I know it was somewhere else. It was in the widgets table here. Widgets table. Now let's try running this again. Wrangler dev. That's one of the biggest problems I've had with using Apollo server is that it just dies and it starts throwing 500s, but you'd never get any errors. So it can be really hard to know what's actually going on. Oh, no. Creative Cloud, why are you alive? Oh, come on. Oh, come on, work. Or at least run. Oh, cool. So it's listening. Let's try this again and hope for the best. Nope. Ugh. Well, at least the variables are now working. All right. So I'm gonna stop now. This was pretty fun. We learned a lot about CloudFlare workers and making them work. I don't know what's bugging out, and I don't know why Apollo GraphQL server isn't giving me more information, but my brain is fried, and we're going to potentially continue this tomorrow. We'll see. Thanks everyone for watching, and maybe this will become a regular thing again. Maybe not. I haven't decided yet, but I think it's a good excuse to have playtime with technologies. So it might become a regular thing. Bye everyone.